Hey guys, what's up? I'm Alison if you guys are new here, and if you guys haven't subscribed down below, click the subscribe button because I do a lot of fashion, beauty, lifestyle, foundation review, and hauls video. And also don't forget to follow my Instagram. Whenever I'm not on YouTube, I'm always on my Instagram stories, so make sure to give it a follow to see what happens in my life if you're interested in that. So for today's video, we're testing out another foundation, which is actually a dupe of the foundation I already reviewed a couple weeks ago. So this is a KVD Good Apple foundation. This has been really hyped on TikTok, and I feel like these days I do have to go into TikTok to see what is on trend because TikTok really helps brings up the product goes viral. So this is one of the product, and I believe it's still sold out everywhere. I personally purchased it a couple of weeks ago on the KVD website, so if you guys can check out and see if it's available. But I saw Ulta and Sephora, they're already sold out everywhere. So if you guys want to see what is my thought on this foundation, you guys can check out the link up here. I reviewed this foundation for a whole day test so you guys can see how it works on my skin. But for today's video, we are testing out a dupe of this foundation and it goes viral on TikTok. So this is the Milani cream to powder foundation. Once it goes viral on TikTok, let me tell you, it's sold out everywhere. It's sold out in CVS, it's sold out Ulta, and I finally get my hands on Walgreens, so I pick it up in store. I purchased it online. I have to grab it right away. And why it is so high? Because they works the same, but with the drugstore price, you're paying $10.99, and for this you're paying $38, I believe. So today we're here to put it into a test. So let's see if the Milani is the truly dupe for the KVD. So for the base layer today, I am wearing my background eye brightener. This is like a peach color corrector for my dark circles. And for primer, I'm today using this Milk Hydro Grip primer, and I also reviewed this on my channel compared to the Cover FX. If you guys are wondering how it works, I love this stuff. It grips on the foundation very nicely, so this has become my favorite. So these are the two base layers that I use underneath this foundation. And also for the concealer, I already apply it and blend it out. So this is the Pat McGrath concealer in the shade L5. It has been my favorite and it blends easily, give me a full coverage. So you guys, right now there's a Sephora VIP sale. You guys should go grab it because this has been my favorite of the year. So right now I'm going to put Milani on this on my face to test it out, the coverage. And I see a lot of people use the brush for the application, so today we are also using a brush to see how it works. If not, I'm gonna go back with my e.l.f. sponge. I normally prefer using a sponge just because it gives me a very nice and natural finish. So it kind of looks like their typical Milani baked powder, baked blush, that kind of packaging. And also it comes with a little sponge on the bottom, and I usually don't use that. And I also have a mirror on the bottom side too. So now we're gonna go in and see how's the coverage. So as you guys can see, the color is a little peachy because a lot of the shade is sold out very quickly, and this is like the closest shade I'm able to get to test it out, but hopefully it works. So the shade that I purchased, this is in the shade 208 Buff. I'm not loving the brush application. I'm normally use a sponge to apply my makeup. So first application, this is what it looks like. It does dry down a little satin matte finish, or more of a satin finish. And the coverage is there, but not like the KVD coverage. But with the KVD, a lot of people use a brush as well, but I like to use a sponge. So now I'm going to test it out and see how it looks like with the sponge. I feel like I do have to pick up a lot more product on the Milani compared to the KVD. But the coverage wise, it looks nice. The coverage is there. But again, the coverage, I feel like the KVD, it shocked me right away. But the Milani, it still gave me a very nice coverage, but again, it doesn't give me that wow effect. Alright, so this is one side of my face, what it looks like. And I think I can test it out on my microbladed brow so you guys can see the coverage. So right here, I'm gonna try to hide the end part of my brow and you guys can see the coverage, how it looks. Alright, now we're gonna go in with the KVD Good Apple foundation, and I have been using this lately, but I'm not sure how this would work for the summertime with my oily skin, but I still able to set this with a powder and it holds very nicely throughout the day. Okay, so this is the product what it looks like, and it picks up quite a lot. So I'm gonna go in and dab this. That's way too much of a product I pick up. So I'm gonna use the other clean side to blend this out. And you guys can see the coverage with the blemishes that I have, it instantly gone. And for this part of my nose, a little goes a long way with KVD. That's why I've been loving it. And I do need that coverage because I don't have a good skin to start with. That is why I need a good coverage of a foundation. I'm gonna put a little more on this on my face. You guys can see the coverage. All right, so here, blend it out, dab, blend it out. So in the first place, if you're using a KVD foundation, make sure a little goes a long way. Start with very little. If not, it's gonna go very cakey on the face. You are not supposed to pick up a lot of the product. So this is quite a lot of the product. It can finish up the whole face. All right, I'm gonna do a testing on my microbladed brows. Put a little and dab. So you guys can see it does work very similar, and I do say the coverage is still pretty full coverage for both of the foundation, but I would say KVD, it gives you a little bit more of a coverage than the Milani. So you guys can see my microbladed brows is covered on this side compared to this side. It's also covered, but it covers just a tiny little bit more. And for the blemishes, you guys can see I start with a lot of dark spot on the face and it covered right away. Compared to this side, it still looks a little bit more of a natural side. It still peeks through a little. All right, so this is what it looks like. You guys can see this side, I am using Milani and it still gives me a very nice coverage. Color wise, I feel like it's a little peachy and light, but it works due to lack of shade in the market right now. So this is the best shade I can test it out for you guys. This is in the shade Buff and it looks very nice, more of a natural finish. It does give you that very nice, kind of like a medium, almost to full coverage. So my first impression on the blendability and application, I feel like using a brush or a sponge would work on this foundation. You just have to slightly warm it up on the pen because it's brand new, so you do have to like work it into the pen and pick up the product and apply to your face. It's not like the coverage that it gives you compared to the KVD Good Apple. So on this side of the face, it matched my skin tone perfectly and I can wear this like throughout this kind of like spring summertime. And you guys can see it does give me a lot more coverage. It hides all those redness and dark spot on the face. But here you guys can see side by side with the KVD compares to the Milani. And you guys will see on this side it looks a little less dewy than the KVD, and the KVD looks a little heavier, but it gives you that full coverage compared to the Milani. So again, with Milani, I'm using the shade 208, which is in the color Buff, and with the KVD, I'm using in the shade Light 12. Okay, now moving on to the setting part, it gets a little tricky because with the KVD foundation, it does move around on the face easily, so you have to be very gentle and use a certain way to set this powder. You can wear it with oily skin with the KVD, but you need to know how to set your face because I feel like a lot of people misunderstand this foundation is not for oily skin and it does give you that very nice coverage. It's more for the dry skin people, but I do have to agree, in the hot summer day, I don't think I can wear this foundation. So today I'm using the RMS setting powder. I just put it in this Cover FX because for the RMS, it just comes in a little bottle. It's not convenient to put on makeup or travel with it. So I just pour a little into this Cover FX container to reuse it, and it does come with a cover, so it's very nice to travel with it. So you guys can see this is what the powder looks like. It just looks like a baking powder, honestly, but today I am using a sponge to set this in. I'm using this Toddy Beauty sponge to set it in, and I feel like with a brush it works, but you just have to be very gently. But I like to use this to pat it into my skin instead of using a brush to swirl it all around my face to move the product underneath. So what I normally do is tap the product into the powder, and you guys can see it picks up quite a lot of product, and I want to tap it onto the cap just to take off a little of the powder. Just make sure it looks very light and natural because you don't want to look like a baking powder all over top of the face. So first of all, I'm going to work it on my under eye area because I want to make sure my eye makeup look, it won't fall. And I'm going to pick up the rest of the product on the cap and tap it over my under eye area because you don't want to move the foundation around. With this foundation, it does move around easily. So again, with this product, you do want to set it very nicely because it's a foundation that's not catered to the oily skin. So you just want to dab it to the place that you are the most oiliest on my T-zone, and then I'm gonna dab it off. And I'm gonna go on this side of my eye. Alright guys, so the full makeup look is done, and you guys can see it's a lot more to my skin tone once the foundation is set into my skin, and also with the loose setting powder. And I also set this with my trusty Urban Decay all-nighter, and just because this kind of foundation, it's not perfect for oily skin, but I am using something that is trying to make it work for my oily skin to wear throughout the day. So I set it with loose setting powder, and with this trusty all-nighter setting spray, it helps to lock in this foundation. Also with the primer that I'm using, it helps to lock in this foundation very nicely. So one thing you have to be aware, this foundation, make sure you're not using a brush to constantly put on another makeup product on top and then swirl around on your face, just because this kind of foundation, it moves easily. At least for my experience on the KVD, I'm not sure with the Milani, but I do the same thing because I prefer these are the cream foundation, but it sets like to powder, it says for both of them. But I would say this side of my face, it sets more of a natural finish, more of a lightweight. Compared to the KVD, it feels like it's a little heavier because it gives you that full coverage, and this also gives me a very nice, almost perfect like full coverage, but it's not like a wow effect to compare to the KVD. So again, this is my first impression using both foundation at the same time. But if you guys look in closely in the real person, I feel like this on my face, it gives me a little bit more of a coverage. But I would say with this kind of coverage, I would wear this every single day just because it feels very lightweight. It doesn't feel like there's a cream product on your face. If you guys wear a foundation that is like a cream finish compared to the powder finish, I feel like this Milani, it feels like a powder finish. It feels very lightweight. Still, it gives you that very nice full coverage. But the KVD, I would say it feels like more of a liquid, heavier cream foundation. It feels like there is something on top, but it's not significant as a lot of full coverage foundation. Okay, now I'm gonna give you a close-up look, very close and personal. You guys will see this on my face, Milani. It looks very natural finish, but compared to the KVD today, I'm not sure why there's a lot of texture area. It looks a little cakey. I think it's because it's way too much product that I pick up on my sponge and it just pack it onto my face. So you do have to be careful with KVD foundation. Little goes a long way, and you guys can see it's a little patchiness around this area on my face, but that's okay. We're gonna wear it out through the day to see how it works compared to the Milani. And also, if you guys haven't realized, I got a new haircut and I dyed my hair into this brownish color and with this curtains bang. So new look, new me, and I'm loving this very refreshing look during this summertime. And I'm gonna curl my bangs so that it looks a little more put together, but this is my new look for the summer. Alright guys, I'm back for the final review, and now the time is almost 1 a.m. and I've been wearing this foundation for about, I would say, 11 hours. So this is a really like put into test kind of foundation review because I barely put on a foundation review test for about 11 hours, but within this 11 hours, I only blot once during the 7 or 8 hours mark, and with tissue paper. And this is what it looks like. The foundation is still on. It's still looking good. It's still looking like a full coverage foundation. And my oils come through, I would say it's pretty normal. I wasn't too oily. But again, I'm not staying outdoor today. I'm most likely staying for the indoor. I only did like an hour drive under the sun, and that is it. So this is what the foundation looks like. And you guys can see the coverage is still on, even though my eyeliner and my lashes is still looking good. So today I'm using this Glamnetic eyelashes. This is in the style BeFrugal. But now back to this foundation review, and you guys can see the foundation is still on, And I would say on my chin area, the foundation, it wears off a little during the day. I think it's because I was eating and I was wiping my nose, wiping my mouth. So that's why this part of the face on the foundation, it kind of take off a little. But on my face area where I do not touch my face when I have foundation on, I make sure I don't touch my face. So this is what it looks like. It looks very nice, full coverage, and my oil wasn't too crazy, so the oil come through, it just makes it a lot more natural finish, I would say. And you guys can see my eyeliner, my underneath the eye, it still looks pretty good. The way you want to use both of this foundation is to make sure you set it with loosening powder and also dab it very lightly onto your face. So this is what it looks like within this 11 hours. I was pretty impressed. I feel like I kind of find a way to how to wear it for my oily skin. I feel like this foundation wear test is way better than when I was doing this KVD Good Apple foundation review. I feel like I kind of get a hang of what I should use underneath and over and layer on top of this kind of cream foundation, and I don't really see a difference between the two once it's settled down. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in later for a close look to see what it looks like. The only thing is a little goes a long way with a KVD. A little gives you a lot of coverage, and if you layer too much on top, I would say it creates a little patchiness on the face. So make sure to go in very light hand of the KVD foundation. But on the Milani one, I use a brush, I use a sponge. I feel like it applies equally the same, and also the coverage, I would say it looks a lot more natural than the KVD. You can't really tell from the far distance, but if you close up a little on my face, you guys will see this side of my face is looking very natural finish, and it feels very lightweight as well compared to the KVD. So if you ask me to choose one at the end of the day, which one would I go for? If you have the money and you would like that full coverage, I would say you guys can try out the KVD one. But if you guys are working with around the budget and you guys still want to get that full coverage and lightweight finish, I would definitely go for the Milani one. I feel like the Milani one, it wears a lot more lightweight compared to the KVD, and both were equally the same on oily skin. You just have to find a way how to wear this foundation and lock this foundation onto your oily skin. But again, if you guys are wearing a face mask throughout the day for the whole day, I don't think this both foundation wears very nicely after you take it off, just because this kind of cream foundation, it does take off easily when you have anything rub it on top of the face. So on my nose area, you guys can see a little foundation on the tip of my nose, it wears off, and around my on top of my lip and the bottom of my chin area, it wears off easily, just because those are the area that I have contact with food, napkin, and my face mask. So in general, I feel like this foundation is good for people who need that coverage like I do. I have a lot of redness, and you guys can see it does peek through a little more obvious on my skin throughout the day, just because with a face mask and with my natural oil, it does wear off a little on my face. With a lot of foundation, it does that all the time. Again, both wear equally the same to me. I would just go ahead and try for the Milani one if you guys want to try out the full coverage, just because it gives more lightweight finish. It wears the same as the KVD, and this has more of a little heavy texture on the skin, but it does give you an instant coverage right away. With the Milani, you do have to build up a little bit more compared to the KVD. Alright, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of foundation review and also trying out a dupe of the foundation. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys try out the KVD and Milani foundation. How do you feel about it? Does it work like a dupe to your skin type, and do you like this foundation? Let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to click the subscribe button on my channel, and also follow on my Instagram, because whenever I'm not here on my YouTube, I'm always on my Instagram. You guys will get to see my personal life. And also don't forget to give me a big thumbs up here to support my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.